including places like Ivano-Byzantinsky and Zygansky on the district Yakutia, were submerged in darkness for several hours, from around 11 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The story was also reported in outlets such as the Siberian Times. But that was not all which was unusual during this event. In the extreme northern territories, locals reported a thick layer of dust covering everything after the darkness lifted. Additionally, water bodies turned murky with contaminants. Also, there was an orangish-yellow tone of color as the darkness fell. What was stranger is that during the early morning hour of that day, people reported a drop in temperatures by about 20 to 25 degrees. That's half the temperature in this region during this time of the year already, so it was definitely very abnormal. Now, so far there have been no official explanation, but hypotheses include the following. First of all, Wi-Fi access. We all know that Europe suffers from hundreds of Wi-Fis during the earlier weeks of July, and it is very possible that somehow the access got picked up and delivered to Siberia on July 20th. But at the same time, it is not so possible because the air was very still that day. Also, these theories do not explain the layer of dust on the ground and in the water as of why only in the far north. Another theory proposes the possibilities of volcanic ashes, but the closest volcano is 800 miles away, and again, why only ashes in the far north and not elsewhere in the region that was affected by the darkness? Solar eclipse was never a theory here because we know that there was no solar eclipse on 20th of July. If there were, it would have been all over the mainstream media because, why would we want to censor a solar eclipse? It's basically harmless. A final possible explanation here is possibly a nuclear weapon testing. This is Russia we're talking about, so that can very well be a possibility. But if it was a nuclear weapon test, there would have been an explosion, not to mention radioactive elements floating all over the places, which must have been detected. So in short, the bizarre darkness in Siberia in July is still a mystery without any scientific or official explanations or warning. Now here's some updates on the other events near the end of July. The first one involved the red planets. During the late night of the 26th and early morning of the 27th of July, Mars approached its opposition, and by that I mean Earth will be exactly in between Mars and the Sun. More interestingly, on the 31st of July, Mars will be at its closest position to the Earth in mankind's recorded history. Here's where it gets weird, because in 2003, Mars made the headline when scientists calculated that it came closest to the Earth in 60,000 years. Now, 15 years later, it suddenly came closest again. It could be an error in calculations, but it could also be that a rogue planet is coming closer to the inner solar system and making things change in a way that we could not previously calculate. As we all know from previous updates, Planet X can affect the whole solar system not only because of its impressive size, but also its bizarre comet orbit. Another event also on the 27th of July was a lunar eclipse. Nothing new. The blood moon appeared because the Earth blocked the sunlight and only a fraction of light reached the moon and got reflected back, and all the visual physics thing. What I would like to say more here is that in the 6th seal of Revelation, it is written that before Judgment Day comes upon mankind, the sun will turn black, the moon will turn to blood, and the star will fall upon the earth. Let's link that to Planet X. When it passes by the sun, the moon, and the earth, it will create a solar eclipse where the sun turns black, and a lunar eclipse where the moon turns red. Then, star falls would indicate, I assume, the debris that orbit Planet X, which enter the Earth's gravitational field and become meteors. Of course, it did not happen then. I'm just making you aware that even religious sources ally with science when it comes to Planet X. Also, do not trust all the dates given on the internet because honestly, no one knows for sure when the planets will arrive. So dates will be pushed back further and make the argument lose its point. And that would be all I want to say in this video today. Make sure you guys stay up to date and keep looking to the ground, the sky, basically everywhere around you for signs. Feel the temperature, the lights, and the sound. Signs are all around us, like the temperatures drop before darkness falls. Also give us a thumb up and subscribe because we have more videos coming out real soon. Stay safe guys. With the sun being dormant 2 years ahead of its supposed schedule, while magnetic activities from outer space are at full swing, our blue planet is exposed to huge risks of cosmic radiation bombardment. Hi guys, this is 28th Dec Science, and we are going through a state of record-breaking long period without sunspot. So for those who do not know, sunspots are regions on the surface of the sun where the light is dim because of the concentrations of magnetic flux. In other words, these are spots where solar magnetic flux is not the same as the rest of the sun's surface, and these places look darker than areas surrounding them. The presence of sunspots follows a supposedly 11-year solar cycle, and that being normal means the sun is healthy. But what is worrying today is the lack of sunspots for 4 months already, only in this year. That is 10% more than half of the time we have been through in the year. This is not supposed to happen, not until 2020, because the last time sunspot disappears for so long was in 2009, where more than 70% of the days in the year did not have sunspot. So according to the 11-year solar cycle, such a dip in sunspot should only occur again in 2020. As a result, enormous waves of energies have been recorded all over the world by scientific instruments, such as the equipment used for most integrated microwave imagery at the International Space Station. Now take a look at this footage, which shows the morph composite of energies taken from above the Earth a few months ago. As you can see, the clip shows clearly that something is changing up above and it is affecting Earth in ways that we have never known of before. Meanwhile, the Sun is at a weak state. As the Sun's magnetic field is like a boost for the Earth's magnetosphere, therefore, the fading of solar magnetic activities brings with it a decrease in the Earth's magnetic energies, and hence intense bombardment of cosmic activities. Cosmic radiation is infiltrating the Earth in a not very natural manner. Scientists use a balloon in the stratosphere to measure radiations, and the results show that radiation level has been increasing steadily by 18% every month since March of 2015. In the meantime, cosmic rays are approaching the Earth from every direction across the galaxies. You might be asking yourself, even if the sun was not so dormant this year, it would be so 2 years from now, and what difference does that make? Well, folks, the answer is simple. Cosmic activities have cycles of their own, as long as everything follows natural course, we are fine. Yet the sun is a bit ahead of its course, and so we are not fine. Like I said before, the level of radiation in the stratosphere is increasing, and sooner or later, unless the sun will awaken, this radiation will penetrate the upper level and eventually will directly affect life on the surface of the Earth. Currently, it already affects the Earth's mantle core. Additionally, flight crews and passengers may have already been affected directly by these radiations when they are on board. Of the sources of space radiations, a major one, acknowledged by NASA, is a binary star system that they said were 10,000 light-years away from Earth. You see, 10,000 light-years away is pretty short a distance in terms of astronomy. To put it in another way, there is no doubt that the system's effects on Earth would be tremendous if it hadn't been for the Sun and the Earth's magnetic field. But now, with the Sun being dormant ahead of the schedule, the Earth is already losing one line of defense. Additionally, Earth's own magnetic defense would lose its solar boost, making the situation even worse. But this is not the biggest source of space radiation bombarding the Earth. The largest burst ever recorded, which is 100 times stronger than the said binary system, came from a star named SGR 180620. Its strongest pulse of magnetic energy was strongly associated to the 9.1 magnetic earthquake in the western side of Sumatra on the 27th of December 2004. In case you have forgotten, this humongous earthquake caused a tsunami that killed 250,000 people in the western Pacific and Indian Ocean. Even though the radius of the catastrophe was not that big, it ended up being the fourth largest natural disaster recorded in 100 years. Now back to SGR 180620. On the star scale, its diameter is quite small. Nonetheless, it is the most highly magnetic celestial object ever discovered. It is 50,000 light-years away from us, and in fact, during the late of December 2004, it was visible to the naked eye for a short while because of the gamma rays coming from a magnetic explosion 50,000 years ago. You see, gamma rays are far more energetic, and their energy range is much higher than visible light. This explosion was in fact the brightest ever observed event known to be seen from Earth from an origin outside of the solar system. It released more energies in a second than our Sun has been emitting during the last 150,000 years. What it did was partially ionizing the outermost layer of the atmosphere of the Earth. The magnetic radiation shook our magnetosphere and considerably weakened it. During 1 month, it was recorded that the radius of the magnetosphere shrunk from 11 times the Earth's radius to 4. This raised questions among the scientific community. Could such a close and powerful magnetic explosion be the reason, at least indirect reason, for any of the previous 5 mass extinctions taking place on Earth? Now, with the Sun being dormant, our magnetosphere is weakening at the pace of 5% every 10 years. Earth is bombarded with galactic flares, and as a result, the Earth's core is being turned upside down. And as a result, tectonic plates move unpredictably, and lava is forced upwards onto the surface. That is why we are experiencing a dramatic increase in volcanic and seismic activities all over the world in recent years. The only reason why most people are not aware of this increase is that the elites do not want people to know. The United States Geological Survey deliberately reduced the earthquake scale by 1 and successfully underreported the number of mega earthquakes around the world. If you guys has been following us recently, you guys would have known that scientists are saying that the areas of the American West Coast is overdue for a mega earthquake of magnitude 9 or greater. The reason is because the oceanic plate is slipping under the North American plate and is being pressed like a spring, and whether it gets harder or spring back, it will create an earthquake and tsunami so big that many parts of America will be hit within only 15 minutes. Not to mention the nearby supervolcano Yellowstone, which would immediately kill almost 90,000 people if it erupts. Now, what do I mean by the area is overdue? Chris Goriger, earthquake geologist at the Oregon State University, and his colleagues have been collecting core samples of sediments in the ocean for 25 years. They calculated that a mega earthquake will happen periodically and at the average interval of 240 years. The last major Cascadian earthquake was already 350 years ago. America is not the only place where the seismic activities are acting out. In fact, the whole planet is being shook. If you visit the website earthquakecheck.com, you will be surprised to discover that a staggering number of almost 21,500 earthquakes have hit the Earth in the past 30 days. That's more than 700 a day. If you compare this number to that of the period of May 2016, which was 3,000, the number has increased by a shocking 7 times. In July, when Kilauea of Hawaii was erupting, a record 800 earthquakes per day were recorded on Hawaii's Big Island. But the largest earthquake in the last years was the one in Chiapas, Mexico. If you still remember, this earthquake hit Mexico on September 8th of 2017. It was magnitude 8.1 at the center and 7.1 in Mexico. Now watch this video of how horrible it was. There were 307 casualties in total. A bit further back into the past, and you probably still remember the magnitude 6.7 earthquake that hit Ecuador in April 2016. The earthquake was only magnitude 8. A magnitude 9 one would cause tsunamis as tall as 30 meters. The tsunamis in Japan in 2011 was only 6 meters tall, and it already killed dozens of thousands of people and triggered a nuclear disaster. Imagine what a 30 meters tall tsunami that hit after 15 minutes can do to the west coast of America. Meanwhile, 14 volcanoes are aggressively active while every other is showing signs of coming back to life all over the Earth. It is calculated that there is a 5 to 10% of having a mega eruption within the next 80 years. These are the list of the most major active volcanoes from the late of 2016 until now. Boguslav volcano in the Alaskan island of Aleutian. The Colima volcano in Mexico in December 2016. The Southern Kiev volcano in Peru in early 2017. The Kilauea volcano in Hawaii at the moment. And most worryingly, the Yellowstone supervolcano is showing fissures. So we are at a very great risk of a mega disaster in the future. And let me remind you that in the meantime, the Earth's magnetosphere is weakening and sunspots are dimming. The conclusion of the story is, as usual, keep watching the sky, guys, because the physical surroundings are full of harbingers of natural disaster. Also subscribe to us because we will have updates coming out very soon and very often. Hello everyone, it's JT here at X Science, and today we going straight into the issue that we are most concerned about, Planet X. If you have seen our recent videos or footage about the miracle of the sun, then this video will be somewhat the same in the way that I discuss the matter, meaning I will not be talking much, but will just show you video clips as well as images that we have collected from sources all over the world that captures Planet X. As usual, here's a brief introduction on Planet X for those who are new to this concept. The consensus by many is that there is a giant rogue planet or system of planets even, that lurks beyond the known planets of the solar system, and it will come into contact with the Earth, creating a catastrophic event known as the NIBIRU catalysm. One of the most compelling evidence that we have for this occurrence is the sightings of a second sun from all over the world, but most clearly seen in the southern hemisphere because Planet X is said to be arriving from below Earth's elliptic plane. The first one I'm going to show you is probably a very good evidence of what is happening up there, because you see clearly a rogue red planet in the sky. The thing is, according to someone who used to work with the Hubble telescope that we were once lucky enough to interview, Planet X is red because it is made up of a lot of iron oxide. The rust in iron that we usually see. So here's the whole footage, captured in the middle of July 2017. At first I, and probably many other watchers, thought it was somewhat a lens flare, because it was kind of blurry and somewhat see-through, but if you inspect it closer you will see that it is not. You see it's quite, solid, and you can see the clouds fly over it, indicating that it's there but far beyond our atmosphere. Now I'm going to show you that clips again, but zoom in closer on Planet X and you will even see an airplane passing by. Next, we have a drone footage.
Pan the camera to the left. He's going to find out there's something there besides the sun. And this is just wonderful. Take a look at that. Now, of course, we would expect the sun and Nibiru, but there's more. So this means that it's getting closer, and not only that, it means that, well, we have others. Now, at first, I really thought this was an illusion, right? This was some sort of lens flare caused by the polarized lens. So this is not, because when you move the camera, you have no response coming from these objects. So we have the lens flare right down there. As you can see, he's going to pan the camera and you're going to see the lens flare moving from right to left and left to right. These objects are stationary next to the sun. Now one would ask, James, why don't I see this during the day? Well, because you need welding lens or a polarized lens so you can see these objects, because the sun is too bright.
As you can see, this drone was just taking an aerial clip, but when it captured the suns and lowered its light settings, you can clearly see another object and the lens flare of that object next to the sun. Then we have another clip to show you that what we see up in the sky is definitely not lens flare.
At first I really thought it was an illusion, but it isn't.
As you can see, the second object up there is too bright to be the moon, especially when the sun is still around. Additionally, you can see its reflection clearly on the water below. Next one was captured in 2016. Again, you can see planet X in bright red and reflecting onto the water surface. Then we have this video taken last October. It's not as high definitions as the previous ones, but you can clearly see another object close to the sun. In the next one, you can see it set with the sun. That's basically all I want to show you guys today. If all these captures are still not enough to convince you to believe in Planet X, then I'm not sure what will. Just know that NASA and the authorities will do whatever they can to cover your eyes and convince you that it is not real. President Reagan even made it a national security mandate and prohibit any institutions or agencies to address the issues in public, so you can probably imagine how severe the problem actually is. They even spray mist into the sky, an act known as chemtrailing, in order to make it difficult for us to spot Planet X in the sky. So the ending message here is that keep an eye on the sky as well as your physical surroundings, because signs are everywhere. Also subscribe to our channel because we have updates coming out very often. And don't forget to stay safe, guys. Until next time, this is JT at X Science signing out.